Hello everybody, this is Fernando for Godzilla Movie News. As promised, this is the first edition of the podcast that I have for Godzilla Movie News related type stuff. And so I'm going to talk about an interview that Gareth Edwards gave at the San Diego Comic-Con. Now, this has been published on multiple websites, so there shouldn't be anything that's not kept super secret. Again, if Legendary Pictures and Warner Brothers are going to be nitpicky, then there's probably at least a dozen other websites that would have to be taken down right now with this stuff. So I'm going to describe some of the juiciest stuff that was within their interview, because once again, Gareth was able to give some very good information that hasn't been talked about before. One of the questions he was asked is, after all these years, what is it about Godzilla that still resonates? And then this was his answer. He said, I think it's the fact that you can't answer that question. You can't just define it in a sentence. When we first tried to figure out the film, we thought, what is it that makes Godzilla Godzilla? You go through all these different things and you actually find, after lots and lots of conversations, that it's undefinable to an extent. And he also said that when they were doing this film, we found that apart from having Godzilla in the movie, you've got an infinite canvas and it's such a rich universe. Once you accept the fact that there's giant creatures, you can kind of do then anything you want. I think that's why it stood the test of time. He's right on that point. One of the most intricate features about Godzilla is the way that he's been able to adapt to every single new generation, much like any other icon out there. Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, 007, Sherlock Holmes, they've all stood the test of time because whoever has been working on them has been able to essentially keep them up and fresh with the newest generation of fans. Instead of having them be outdated, they're always evolving to ensuring that they're kept up with the fans. And another question that he was asked, and this one unfortunately I didn't provide much answer on, but it was a pretty bold question. It said, are the other creatures in the movie made from original designs? I.e., it's a good way to ask him, are we essentially seeing some new creatures, or are we seeing some of the fan favorite type Godzilla villains? And he simply said, I cannot answer that question. So it was a bold effort. Whoever asked it there at San Diego Comic-Con just flat out asked it, and they got shot down, but oh well. Another question he was asked was, Gareth, so much of the charm of Monsters, which was his first movie, was the idea of concealing the creatures in the movie. How much did that challenge you when you were working on this, where so much of the spectacle involves revealing the creature? And he gave an interesting answer to this. He said, with this film, you're going to sit in the cinema for 2 hours and you want to see Godzilla and you want to see him fight something else. If you just do it straight away and everything is all the way up to level 11 the whole time, it might as well be at 0 because it has no effect. It's all about contrast. We tried to build the structure and rhythm of the movie in such a way that the climax is more and more and more. By the end of the film, hopefully it's as powerful as it can be, and when you get all these moments which come throughout the movie. So, what he's revealed here is that, I'm sorry to say this for Pacific Rim fans out there, but essentially it's not all action 100% of the time. So he's saying that you have to balance the storyline to reflect like the characters in and around the story along with the action. If you just kept everything 100% action related, you will have a sense of nullification, and you'll have a desensitization. You'll essentially be desensitized to the notion of all this action, and that's essentially what they're not trying to do. So I'm glad to see that he was able to give that answer. You can have a good movie even if it's not 100% action. As long as the story and the characters are convincing enough, then you'll have that on there. Another great question he was asked was, is the population of this film aware of Godzilla before he shows up in the film? Very good question. Whoever was asking these questions at San Diego Comic-Con, they really thought these out. He responded with, it's an origin story, so that probably says it. I don't want to give too much away, but it's definitely what you would consider an origin story. So without saying it 100% up front, we pretty much can get that nobody knows about Godzilla beforehand, at least most of the populace, and so this is going to be as new to them as it is to us whenever we're watching the movie. And I love those kind of films because when you're thrust into some kind of new environment, and this environment is uncovered for you at the same time as the characters are uncovering it, it makes the viewing experience all the more better on this. Another question he was asked was, what sort of tone does this film have? And he says, I think it's cautionary. Actually, you look at the table and you see the scope of it. My apologies. This was actually Bryan Cranston, who was providing the answer. He was there at the same time with the interview. And he said that you make sure that it's relevant to today's time. It's all about harnessing power, dispersing of waste, and messing around with Mother Nature. Again, this goes to what was discussed in some of my other videos, how there have been subtle hints from Frank Darabont and from Gareth Edwards himself that something big is gonna happen in the movie that ties in to how something affected the Earth, and it won't be most likely nuclear bombs or some kind of atomic bombs, but it'll probably be something more environmental. And I hope they really don't pounce on the Earth first type thing. I don't want it to be there's no other way to put it, but I don't want it to be a hippie kind of movie stating that if you don't recycle, this is what it'll lead to. I hope they are able to convey the message in a thoughtful manner without it being drilled into us all the time. Now, another really, really good question that was asked was, and this was to Gareth, it says, Gareth, are you already set to direct a sequel if that were to happen? And he said, I had a blast and it's not over yet. What's so fantastic about Godzilla is that we've created a playground that I would love to play in again. If I was lucky enough to be invited back to the party, I would jump at it. It's such an honor to do one of these movies with this character and to work with this cast. I would definitely be interested in doing another film. I love that line that he said, we've created a playground that I would love to play in again. He's pretty much hinting that the movie is going to end in a way that is going to leave open to a sequel. That's pretty obvious, of course. This is a franchise starter. You're not going to kill Godzilla, and it's not like the 1998 film. And even if they do go that route, there'll probably be some way that he'll be revived within the sequel. So it's going to be something that we'll have to see when the movie comes out. No doubt that if it does become a success, which it should, I mean, I don't see, unless finally the trailer comes out and things look so horrible that it's dead on arrival, it should be 100% of the success that everyone thinks it's going to be, and so that means that Edwards should be asked back, and probably will. So, in any case, that's the latest Godzilla movie podcast, the movie news podcast that I have for you all. Any other news that comes up, I'll definitely relay that to everybody here. Thank you again, everybody. Take care.